Let's pray. Jesus, we come before you. Father, we are totally open to what you have for us today. Jesus, I need your help, Lord, not rattling off words, but being concise. Jesus, this is your message. God, may the revelation that I have be something that I can share with everyone else. And Lord, I don't say I have as in I own it, but Lord, something that you've birthed inside of me for so long. Jesus, I just want to share that. Jesus, I just bless everyone here with the hearts open for understanding. Jesus, may you flow through me. Holy Spirit, God, I feel you ready to flow. Lord, I just want to get out of the way. Lord, we thank you for all of this in Jesus' name. Amen. So today, I wanted to start the message off with a magic spell. And I pull out my wonderful magic wand and I go, bling! And congratulations, you're all immortal. What? I didn't do that. It's already been done. The point that I'm trying to convey here is the fact that you are already immortal. It's a concept that we haven't fully wrapped our heads around because everything we know is dying or going to die. It's all temporary. But the truth is, we are eternal beings already. Death at one point had power over us, but not anymore. Jesus came, and I love to say Jesus punched death in the face, and because it's just awesome. One day, I'm going to get this picture. I have this picture in my head, which is always scary, but I have this picture in my head of this big monster. This big, burly, he's huge, he's buff, and it's death. And he's got teeth and snarling, and that is pre-Jesus dying on the cross. Post-Jesus dying on the cross, that's that skeleton in the hood that walks around very feeble now because he has no power left in him at all. Amen. Jesus freed us from that death and made us immortal. Someday, this earth suit is going to break down, and I won't be able to walk among the dead anymore. Because that's what this life really is. It's a shadow life. This life isn't true life. It's actually, we're living death is really what we are. From the beginning, as soon as we're born, we're starting to die. I know this is going to sound super morbid, and you're just going to have to bear with me because we are going somewhere. But the truth is, this world is fading. Entropy. This earth, as soon as Adam and Eve sinned, as soon as the fall of man happened, this earth, this universe started dying. Life broke away from it. What it was meant to be is not anymore. And the earth is dying. People are dying. All of it's dying. The universe is dying. And I'm just really filled with hope right now, aren't I? Yeah. Amen. I want to hear some amens right there. Yep. Like, go out with him. But Jesus is life. He says that. I am life. So we have this weird concept that we can actually live without him, when that's not possible. If he is life, then anything apart from him is, what's the opposite of life? That would be death. So anything done apart from him is actually death. And in this weird way, in our culture is solely fascinated by zombies, but the weird thing about it is that is kind of what we are. Apart from Jesus, we're this weird living death that should be dead, but is somehow hanging on. That's not how we should be. We should be filled with life. And when you're born again, you're made into a whole new creature. Your spirit becomes totally alive again. All of a sudden, it's been breathed new life. It's been refreshed. And now all of a sudden, you're an eternal being. And that concept is something that it's so important for we wrap our heads around, because we get caught up that this world is so important, that this flesh, that this life on this earth is the most important thing, when it is not. We have to start thinking in the long term. We have to think in the eternal, because we're immortal beings. This facade that you see before you is not me. This isn't who I am. This is my earth suit. If I went into the ocean, I need equipment to survive there. I cannot survive in there alone, by myself. What I need to do is I need to put on a suit so that I can breathe the oxygen from the surface, and I can go around and walk through the ocean. And this is the only way I survive in this scenario. That's what this body is. Right now, this body allows me to walk on this earth and to touch eternity that way. And we're going to get into that even some more further on. It's all temporary. It's all fleeting. So the title of this message is We Aren't Home Yet. This is something that young teenage Jared got a hold of one time, and this revelation was birthed inside of me in from several different outlets. And it's something that every time I come back to it, it just gets me all excited and crazy all over again. And Tiffany doesn't usually like it too much because I talk about a lot of death and how amazing death is. So in Hebrews 11, he starts on this chapter, he talks about faith and how faith is it is the convincing of what you don't see. Because it's something that we see. And you remember a couple of messages back, we talked about seeing Jesus, how he said we will see him. And it's because in our hearts, we can see better than what our eyeballs would be able to. If he was right here, it wouldn't have as much of an impact as it does when I look from inside of my heart and I know him. That's amazing. That's faith, because it becomes the convincing, the evidence, the very substance of the things that I can't see with my eyeballs is convinced and buried deep inside my heart because I see on a different level. He talks about Abel and Enoch and Noah and Abraham and Sarah, and it's this really fantastic just Bible lesson. Basically, it's a Bible lesson in the Bible of previous Bible chapters, and it's fantastic as he just goes down explaining how it goes. And even he gets to the point after this passage where he explains it even further, and then he says, I don't have enough time to get to all of these other people. And he lists off Gideon and Barak and Samson and Japheth and David and Samuel. And then he says, and the prophets. Like just this huge thing he's just going to throw out there too. He's like, I don't have time to do all that. Please, because that would be so fascinating. I want that fun. Can we just extend it out? Please give it to me. But in all of this, he talks about these people, and he lists off these major giants of faith in the Bible. And all of these people, they did not have salvation. Jesus had not come yet. But he says they look forward to the promise. And they lived their life as though Jesus had come, that the promise had been fulfilled, that salvation had been given, and that faith that they knew that Jesus would restore them someday. They lived their life in that way. And he talks about them right here. And this is this sort of side note, but it's amazing. In Hebrews 11:13, it says, these all died in faith, not having received the things promised. Jesus hadn't come yet, but they're looking forward to them. But having seen them and greeted them from afar, and having acknowledged that they were strangers and exiles on the earth. Those promises weren't there yet, but they saw the promise. Just like we see Jesus now as in our hearts, that we know him better. And we see that heart of him. We see him clearly through our hearts. This is how they lived, seeing that from afar off. And having acknowledged that they were strangers and exiles on the earth. Once they got that concept of that salvation in their head, they realized they don't belong here anymore. It's this fascinating concept that all of a sudden, when I'm born again, when I am birthed anew, my spirit has become alive. I am not a being of this planet anymore. I am an alien on this earth. I don't belong here. This is not my home. This is not what I live for. I'm an eternal being. My life has started now, but it really starts after I die, because then I'll be shedding this hollow shell. Chapter 11, verse 14. For people who speak thus make it clear that they are seeking a homeland. They're looking to go home. These exiles, they're reaching out in this faith. They're looking to go home. Verse 15, if they had been thinking of the land from which they had gone out, they would have an opportunity to return. If they were planning on, if their homeland that they were talking about was their country of origin, they could have gone home. But they couldn't go home because, verse 16, but as it is, they desire a better country, that is, a heavenly one. Therefore, God is not ashamed to be called their God, for he has prepared for them a city. They were looking for a home that doesn't belong on this earth at all. It's a far greater country, a far greater kingdom. And they knew that they weren't home. And even if they went home to their country of origin, they're not home. Even if they went to their childhood house, they're not home. They're not home yet. And I think that echo is something that's deep inside all of us. But we don't always have a way of being able to put a label on it. It just bothers us that we don't feel settled. We don't feel home. And it's for a very important reason, because we aren't yet. Jesus, I hear that call for home, that my heart longs to be shed of this shell, this earth suit, that I can be truly born into who I really am, to stand before love itself and actually embrace love, to tangibly touch love. That's the most fantastic idea ever. We are born of a new world. We are new creatures. This world is a shadow. This body is a shadow of who I really am. This concept of this being a shadow world is so important. So important. The whole history of the tabernacle, all of those things, what are those? Those are literally just shadows. God gave us plans to show us what it is like in heaven, but it's such a hollow thing, trying to explain that on terms of something that goes beyond what we're capable of. What I love is the fact that when I told my kids this, Caleb had the hardest time wrapping his head around this, and he still has it, and it bothers him, and I love it. I told him that when we get to heaven, that we're going to see colors that we've never seen before. And he goes, but how? All of the colors have been mixed. I know of all of the colors. You can see how do you make colors that don't exist yet? And this got his little mind. I should not have done that right before he was going to sleep, because he sits there in bed, and you see the little furrowed brow, and he's digesting this really hard, and he's really thinking about this. But this idea that heaven, if all of this reality that we understand, that we know so well, that I smack my head on that podium and it's gonna hurt, that substance there, momentum, as you stop really quickly, things fly off the roof of the car because momentum, as all of the physical attributes of this world that we understand, if this is a dull shadow, then what is the next life that we are looking forward to? We have no concept, okay? We can't wrap our brains around it, because this is a finite, squishy gray stuff is not possible to grasp the infinite, okay? And we get one little sliver of something and we're like, oh man, this was amazing. And God's like, you have no idea. You got nothing. And everyone who's ever had a near-death experience or has ever glimpsed the throne room or all of these things, you listen to them trying to describe stuff and they have no words, because they experience on a different level. Seeing is also hearing, is also tasting, is also touching. Hearing on so many different levels. Your senses enhanced 1,000-fold. And even then, there's still so much more to take in. They failed on so many levels. Isaiah talks, or is it in Revelation or Isaiah, he talks about there being an emerald rainbow, okay? He can only see the green in that rainbow, okay? Like, that's the spectrum that it has. He's only capable of even fathoming the green part, okay? Like, he just can't, there's words just fail because it's so much more real than what we have now. And that is the very essence of this concept is the exact reason why the atheists miss it all. Because they are desperately seeking, well, if I can't see it with my eyeballs, it's not real. The problem is that what you can see with your eyeballs is not real at all. It's all fake. The thing that's more real is the thing that you can't see with your eyeballs. The thing that you can't measure, the thing you can't touch, that's more real. Their premise is flawed from the very beginning. And it's a concept that we know full well. How many philosophers have talked about what is real? What is reality? What are we supposed to go for? Caleb, that kid, he was 4 years old and we're driving down Pierce, we're driving north on Pierce, getting to Wadsworth. And he's looking out the car window and he goes, "Dad, is this real life?" He's 4. This is a big question for a 4-year-old. But I think that because in the bottom of our hearts, we know that we're soul beings. We're spiritual beings. We don't belong on this physical plane in the way that we do. We know we're not meant for this. And it bugs everyone, even though people may not put a label on it. It's something down there in the fundamental parts of our being. We know we're meant for something better. So let's keep moving on. All right, turn to Colossians 3. Oh, this was hard. Yeah. And in Colossians, I missed this passage was great. And I'll just throw this out down there. But one of the verses down at the bottom, it says, "And then put on love, which is the bond, the unifying bond of everything." Like, so good. All right, verse 1, it says, "If you have been raised with Christ," and you have, so it's more of like a since you have been raised with Christ, "seek the things that are above, where Christ is, seated at the right hand of God. Set your minds on the things that are above, not the things that are on the earth. For you have died, and your life is hidden with Christ in God." You have been bought. You have a covenant with an immortal God who never had a beginning. And you just can't fathom that because everything we know has started and everything we know will end. We can't wrap our heads around this fact that God just was, He is, and He will forever be. Your life is hidden with Him. You are partakers of that life that was so powerful that it broke through Hades to retrieve the Son of God, shattered death, shattered all of the darkness, brought a life back, filled Jesus' body with just pure glory. So amazing, so amazing. Your life has been hidden with Him. You've died and been brought back in that same resurrection life that Jesus had. That life now pumps through you. That life is what your spirit is made of now. That's in you. And we get so wrapped up with this thing that's merely a tool for me. This is not who I am. This world is not who I am. This is not what I'm meant for. Verse 4 of Colossians 3, "When Christ, who is your life, appears, then you also will appear with Him in glory." Ooh. Christ, who what? is your life, you will appear with him in glory. Verse 5, put to death, therefore, what is earthly in you. Sexual immorality, impurity, passion, evil desire, and covetousness, which is idolatry. And what is that idol that we're worshiping? Me. That huge, long name deity, I. That's the deity that we worship. Sin grounds you in this physical realm. That's what's fascinating about sin, is that's why it's killing us. That's what's the danger of sin, is because I am not a physical being. I am a spiritual being. I am an immortal spiritual being. But when I sin, it grounds me to the physical realm. It smashes me and keeps me from being able to reach above where I'm supposed to be. That's the danger of what sin is. It keeps you from being able to see further with your better senses. That's why we want to let go of it. It's not because it's wrong, because there's rules against it, because blah, 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 that all the things that why we don't want to hear not to sin anymore, but that's the whole point. He says, let go of these things. They're grounding you in this realm. They're not letting you be who you were supposed to be. You want to touch the next world. You want to embrace that life and let that flow through you now. And that sin, it keeps you from doing that. It shuts you off. That's why we want to let go of it. The flesh loses every time we overcome and touch God. When we mind those things above, the flesh loses. That's why it cries out and it wants that sin to keep itself grounded and keep itself alive as much as possible. But when we let go of those sins and we can't be grounded on this anymore, we mind those things above. We take care of what the mindset of God, that saved thinking. Sophroneo? Gold star. When you have that saved thinking, then your flesh dies because it can't be sustained anymore on the life that doesn't have. It has actually true life that's overcoming the death inside of your flesh. That's amazing. Verse 6, on account of these, the wrath of God is coming. It's the list, the idolatry. Verse 7, in these you too once walked when you were living in them. But now you must put them all away. Anger, wrath, malice, slander, and obscene talk from your mouth. Do not lie to one another, seeing that you have put off the old self with its practices, and you have put on the new self, which is being renewed in the knowledge of the image of its creator. It's reversing death as the image bearer of God. That doesn't mean much to us, but it should mean so much. It's amazing that God decided to make not just creation, but that he took man and he gave man his own image. What are the ramifications of that? It's mind-blowing that we are entrusted with that kind of power, that kind of importance. It's amazing. As the image bearers of God, you have put on the new self, which is being renewed in knowledge of the image of its creator. Reversing the death inside of you. Renewed. And again, in an amazing upcycle where God takes death inside of you and he makes it life. It's so awesome. It's so awesome. But I'm an image bearer of God more so now than ever before because he lives inside of me. The Holy Spirit is here. God himself has decided to dwell within us in this amazing exchange of life that I give him my death and he gives me his full life. It's just the worst trade for him possible. Like that, it doesn't make sense. The only time you have a trade like that benefits only one person to such a great degree is it has to be done in love.
Absolutely.
And he loves us so much. And that exchange has been amazing. Don't be hung up on this world. this reality. We get this weird idea that all of the years, and then when you can now measure it in decades, hopefully some of you will be able to measure it in centuries. I'm praying for you.
Thank you.
I don't really want to live that long. Like that's too much. All of that, when you measure that against eternity, what is that? Even if you were to live 150 years, what is that in eternity? It's nothing. It's literally it's a little vapor, it's a smoke. It's a little flash, a little blip of light, and that's it. But we get so wrapped up like it's the most important thing, that all of this stuff really matters. And I see little men in big chairs making all these very official things, very important stuff, and trying to put their mark in history and in the world and all this stuff. And all of it is just, none of it actually matters at all. What matters is the fact that I'm an immortal being. And that post-death is the most life that I will have experienced. Who are you in the scope of the world? That's not much. But we're not meant for this world. Mind the things above. We aren't meant for this world for long. Don't store up for yourself earthly treasures. Matthew 6:19, do not lay up for yourselves treasures on earth where moth and rust destroy and where thieves break in and steal. But lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven where neither moth nor rust destroys and where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. And we talk about this monetarily, but it goes beyond that. What do you care about the most? Is that here on earth? Is what you care about most something that's going to fade, is going to pass away? Don't give in to that. This world is not the most important thing. What you should be doing is laying up treasure for yourself. You should be embracing, and the most important thing to you is the next life. And that every decision that we make is only meant to be a reflection into the next world, to get a jump start on that life. Where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. I don't want my heart to be with this world. And I know it bothers my wife when I talk about how I am fully ready to have death knock on my door. I'm not rushing the process, not inviting him early, okay? Going to be around as long as I can. But when it is my time, I'm actually looking forward to that. And it's a weird thing, and it sounds morbid, but I know what's on the other side of that door. Amen. And it's not the end. Oh, it's just the beginning. And I love that. In Matthew, continuing on, Matthew 6:22, the eye is the lamp of the body. So, if your eye is healthy, your whole body will be full of light. But if your eye is bad, your whole body will be full of darkness. If the light in you is darkness, how great that darkness. What's your eye focused on? He just got done talking about don't store up for yourself earthly treasures, store up heavenly treasures. And then right next to it, he talks about what's your eye focused on? If it's focused on the eternal, then that light shines inside of you and it flows through into this life. If your eye is focused on this life, it's nothing but darkness and death. You've got nothing. We have to look at this life through the light of eternity and keep our eye focused on what's eternal. What are you focused on? This is a time for self-reflection. My wife says that I sometimes do more self-reflecting than most people do, and so I have to try to convey this well. What is it that you're focused on? If you took your closest friend, the person who knows you the best, and asked them, what is it that you would say is the focus point of my life? What would they say about you? what would they say is the main thing that when they get around you, this is the one thing you're going to harp on, this is the one thing you're going to talk about, this is the one thing that you're going to be bringing up, that everything hinges on this for you? What is that thing? And be ready for that answer to may not be what you think it is. Because oftentimes we think we're all about this one thing, but the way we come across to people is totally different. And it's something I dare you to evaluate. What are you focused on? Are you an eternal focused person? Does the thing that you desire the most, the thing that you're always about, is that an eternal principle? Is that an eternal thing that's going to last? Or is it a temporary focus? Are you busy, worried? You're all about a sport, an activity, or a way of life? Because those things don't seem like that big of a deal, but sometimes they consume us more than we think they do. What are you all about? What is your focus? Is it treasure on earth? Or is it eternal? Is it laid up in heaven? Which the past revelation says if it's not mixed with love, then it isn't eternal. That's how we got to do it. Set your mind on things above for a new home, somewhere where you will belong. Let go of what you see around you. Man, we just get I see it so clearly, we get so consumed with who made what decisions and how things are happening in the world, current events, and how all of this stuff shakes down, and who's done what to who has the right, all of these opinions filled, and all of that's temporary, just gonna fade away. None of it really matters. We have to live as eternal beings. Let go of this life. What's important? Everything has to be held to that. Stop being caught up in this life and you'll miss the beauty of the real life that is to come. The life of Jesus is so powerful, it overcomes the death that we have in this realm. And if only we can grasp that better. That's where healing comes from, is when you understand that the eternal life that Jesus has that's inside of you flows through you and can change the death that's around you. Oh, it's almost right here, and I'm going to grab it one day, and I'm going to finally hang on to that. That life is in me. It's in you. And it flows out of us if we let it. This world is a hollow shell of life. It has the least amount of authority. So why do we walk in bondage to it? The spiritual realm is the highest authority there is. The physical realm is the least. It's the bottom. It's the private. And yet we walk around with this world telling us how things have to be. And we listen to them. And why? I don't know. We need to practice letting go of this earth and touching heaven and accessing the Spirit inside of you. Read the scripture, break away from this world, touching the life from the next as it empowers this hollow life that you have in this. Take a few moments in your day. Stop paying attention to what you're hearing, to what you're seeing, what you're breathing. Ignore this and listen with your spirit. Touch Jesus. Reach out and find what's eternal. Practice that. Because this physical realm is not important. We don't need it. The only thing that it's here for is to just set us up for the next. This world is literally the womb. I haven't been birthed yet into my eternal being. That's death. Right now, this is the womb, and I want to grow and I want to be strong so that when I am born, when I am birthed into my eternal home, that I have the nourishment that I need to start off so strong. I want to have done the right thing now so that when I am born, I'm that much further ahead. I am the kingdom of heaven. The kingdom of heaven is here. The kingdom reigns anywhere that I go because I'm submitting to that kingdom principles. And that's what Jesus had for us, and we just totally missed it. They tried to make it political. He's like, no, you don't understand. My kingdom is forever. And it's going to cross every boundary, every political boundary, every geological boundary, every racial boundary. It's going to breach them all because it's a kingdom everywhere there's people. And everywhere those people are, and that kingdom reigns. And it's a kingdom that you can't stomp out, you can't squash, you can't end it because it just exists. For 2,000 years, he's had that kingdom reigning. That's far longer than any human capacity for reigning. No country has lasted half that long. His kingdom is here. His kingdom is you. And everywhere you bring those kingdom principles, that's where he reigns. We can't be bought and we can't be destroyed. His kingdom lasts forever. He can't end it. One light may go out, but man, there's going to be so many more. His kingdom reigns forever. And it already is here. So fantastic. We belong to it, we're a part of it. And it's more than just being an ambassador and carrying the life of God to others. It's literally the kingdom moving and the kingdom being there for other people. It's so amazing. It's more than an ambassador. You are the kingdom of heaven. As an eternal being, you're already there. Death is not the end, it's the beginning. Death frees us from this flesh. Now, I need to say, I'm not advocating you kill yourself, okay? I'm not advocating that at all. For the record, stated, marked, time-stamped, blah, blah, blah. I'm not advocating for that at all. And as I said, I am looking forward to dying. I'm not rushing the process, but when my time comes, I will welcome death. Because I know that I'm just moments away from seeing Jesus fully, to being embraced in heaven on a new level that I have not comprehended before, that even just standing in heaven, the senses are going to be overwhelmed as I just begin to stumble into the light and try to figure out what's going on. It's going to be amazing. And that mindset has to be in us to change what's important. Do I need to do? Should I go? Blah, blah, blah. All of these decisions that we have to make have to be held in the light of eternity. We don't belong in this world. It's where we make our mark. It's our chance to make an impact. But don't get settled here. We're just passing through. We make our little smoke. It's our little shine of light. And we hope that it touches as many people as it possibly can, but then it's gone and it's over. Just this last week, Dave Dwell passed away. I don't know if any of you know him. But right now, I'm incredibly jealous. I'm going to be completely honest. What he is experiencing right now, what he knows right now, I am very envious of that. I wish I knew what he knew right now. But he lived his life in a way to honor God as much as he could. And then it's time, he's done. It's time for him to go home. And he is home. He's finally home. And that's amazing. And in all of the mourning that we've lost somebody great, I am more excited to celebrate the fact that he finally got to go home. And it won't be long before we get to join him. If we even remember him, who knows? As we stand before heaven and we all together corporately worship in the most amazing, mind-blowing way ever. It's going to be awesome. Don't get used to this life. It's fleeting. As immortal beings, we have to keep everything we do in the light in this life in the light of the next. We have to keep our mind on the things above, our eyes locked on Jesus. And then those kingdom principles flow through me. That life flows through me into this life, and it overcomes the death that I am experiencing in this life. If the greatest life that we've experienced is death, how much more amazing is true life going to be? We have to hold everything that we have to the light of eternity. That doesn't mean everything you've done is worthless. That doesn't mean those times when you aren't focused on eternity, it's worthless. We're going to mess this up. We're going to mess it up. It's just the way it is. God knew that getting into it. Otherwise, he would have made perfect people if he didn't like that fact. But his grace is there and his life is there. And all we have to do is just submit to that and keep our eyes on the fact that this world isn't our home. This is not where I belong. I look forward to going home. And I cannot wait till Jesus says, it's time. You can come home now. That'll be amazing. And I'm so excited for that. So I have to leave you with a quote because I've wanted to get this into a message for so long. I finally got a chance. And the words of Maximus Decimus Meridius, as he's pumping up his troops, he says, what we do in life echoes through eternity. And that's the most important thing, is that what we're doing right now, it changes what happens in eternity. And we're setting ourselves up for a more amazing life there. So let go of this one that's going to fade. It's ending. It's passing. Let go of it and embrace that new life that we have. It's going to be amazing. It already is amazing. And it's going to be more amazing again someday. That is something that I will always take an opportunity to share. And it's something that I have different. This is not something that I keep fresh in my mind all the time. It's something I work hard to get to that point for sure. But it comes up every once in a while and it just reignites my spirit and I just get excited all over again about it. Let go of what you see, what you hear. It's not that important. Embrace the next. Amen. Jesus, we just thank you that you were loving enough, that you were so gracious enough to give us eternal life. That you bought salvation for us at a price that was so horribly high. But that while we were strangers to you, while we didn't know you at all, you paid that price for us. And Lord, as we give you our death, you give us your life. And we thank you for that exchange, even though it's so awful for you. But Lord, you deemed it worthy because you just want us. Lord, you've created a home for us, and we're not there yet. And Lord, while we're not home, Jesus, we want to just do the best that we can for you, to shine your light and let your life flow through us, to point out how you are the way, so that other people can go home with us too. And Lord, we just look forward to the day that you say that we can come home. We look forward to that. And Jesus, we just have your way in us. May your kingdom shine brighter in me than it ever has before. Holy Spirit, have your way. We thank you that you're in us and through us. And bless everyone here with a week of contemplation. Lord, as they do things that you remind them that that's maybe not eternal. Or maybe that thing is eternal. I thank you for all of that. In Jesus' name, amen.